Please, gentlemen, leave the scene now.
Good evening.
Constable Marrow. I was here with Inspector Aberline during the Ripper case, Mr. Holmes, back here. But then this is nothing like that case. With this one, we've got the murderer, the weapon, and the...
Of course, Marrow. But you know that appearances can sometimes... Who were the victims?
The two men here, both shot. The stab fellow was Brian Vercotti, a well-known ruffian. The other, Kenneth Butler, a jeweller by trade.
You spoke of statements. You have witnesses?
Well, I was there, so I gave my own statement. And then there were two other witnesses. Mr. Turner, a gentleman who lives in that flat over there. And Polly Powell, a flower seller.
So, Constable Marrow, I should be delighted to hear your...
I was standing at the north side of Half Moon Street. That was the side that you came from.
But you would have been on...
That is correct. But I saw the two victims slowly enter Half Moon Street, and then shortly after, the fireworks started. A few minutes after that, the fellow...
please continue.
I didn't pay attention, but suddenly I heard a woman's cries and police whistles on the other side of Half Moon. I rushed over there and I saw the two dead bodies on the ground. When I reached Whitechapel Street, I saw Leighton Chapman. He'd been caught by two police constables.
Did you hear the shots?
I didn't hear any shots. The fireworks were all over the sky. They were so loud I couldn't hear anything else.
What were the fireworks in honour of, Constable?
Well, today's Queen Victoria's birthday, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I appear to have lost track of the days. It is May now. Constable Marrow, what else caught your attention while you were running through Half Moon Street? Did you happen to look up at Mr. Turner's window when you were on Half Moon Street at that time?
Yes, I saw that the window was open, but no one was there. It was dark in the room.
Constable, your statements have been of great value to me. The bullet struck his head. This is an ordinary key. A piece of wood that has stuck between the cobblestones. This shard of wood is quite new. A tattoo from Westgate Prison. He tried to stop the bleeding with his hand. The bullet penetrated his stomach. Brian Vercotti suffered greatly. A fairly long pole with a forked end. A fairly long pole with a forked end. A fairly Good evening.
I heard Constable Varro reply to you as Mr. Holmes. Are you that detective gentleman? I've heard of you.
Excellent. Might we hear your story? Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
I was already in bed when the fireworks started. A few moments after,
Please continue.
I quickly got up and I looked down.
Where
Well, near this body.
did he notice?
I don't think so. He rushed towards Watch.
Mr. Turner, did you...
No?
Were the two shots you heard
Yes, there was a very short... It seemed to me...
That is an interesting... Mr. Turner, what were your actions?
I was afraid that the man with a gun might return.
You have helped us a great deal, Mr. Turner. A fairly long pole with a forked end.
I'm always wondering.
I'll do anything to save my brother,
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police.
Well, I've already gave my testimony.
Could you tell us everything that you may have...
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those, but then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty and that he had no time to escape. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshot?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks.
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street, prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Such a young...
This mirror is turned... Locked. 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 This mirror is turned towards Half Moon Street.
It would be my pleasure to...
Mr. Turner, you have stated that you...
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. I stayed at my window until the policeman arrived to examine the dead bodies. Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. I stayed at my window until the policeman arrived to examine the dead bodies.
That is very interesting.
Well, I think we could have missed each other somehow.
Allow me to form my own theories, Mr.
Not at all, Mr. Holmes. Please, follow me.
Mr. Turner appears to live very modestly. Mr. Turner was roused from his bed by the sound of gunshots. The books on this shelf are in a mess. A perfect mess. So, Mr. Turner broke his stick when it became stuck between the cobblestones. This fire is dying out. The papers are almost entirely burned. I am unable. The papers are almost entirely. These words are illegible. The papers were thrown into the fire just a short while ago. This kitchen knife is quite sharp. There are pieces of shredded paper. This kitchen knife was used to cut the paper. So, that's the view Mr. The dead body of Kenneth Butler. Brian Vercotti's. Mr. Turner had a perfect view of the crime. No, it didn't happen this way. No, it didn't happen this way. So Mr. Turner used a book. I can see prints from greasy... Well now, what a find! A precious jewel, concealed inside a book. A bracelet with a unique ram's head design, a distinctive feature of ancient Grecian... Mr. Turner, how would it be possible for a man of advanced years, such as yourself, to rush from his bed to the window in a matter of seconds, as you have stated?
Well, I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age. And when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
I highly doubt that. It would have taken at least 10 seconds for you to approach the window. That means you could have easily missed something, or...
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I could have missed something. But it did seem to me that everything happened so quickly. Time can pull tricks on...
And what of everything else that you told us? Mr. Turner, it is vital that we have your complete...
Mr. Holmes, I do assure you that the other things I said were most sincere.
Mr. Turner, you were not...
But Mr.
This, Mr. Turner...
I can explain.
No, merely... But you walked down and took the bracelet from the... Constable
Mr. Holmes, please don't say... When I chanced upon the bracelet...
You made a mistake by lying to me.
I wish this crime had never happened, Mr.
Mr. Holmes, did you see my brother at Scotland Yard? Is he all right?
That is not the one I need. I need to continue my research in my archives. That is not the one I need. 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 That is not the one. One of the victims, Kenneth Butler, was involved in the story of the stolen Hellenist. Mr. Butler's key matches. A flare pistol. A flare pistol. It looks as though Mr. Butler kept a careful... The ram's heads. This necklace belongs to the... Interesting. Crampons and a sharp... Crampons and a sharp... A flare pistol. Perhaps it was pawned by a destitute sailor. Crampons and a sharp ice axe would only be brought here by a mountaineer. So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It seems as though the shells were... It seems as though... Two out of the 6 shells have been fired. A cheap watch, bought with his own... 2 out... These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. please escort... Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins...
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're... Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes.
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw two men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning up. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at...
So you might still have had time to return to the
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. He was holding a gun in his hand, though. I took it.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash, but I kept running forward. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still...
A thrilling account, my young man. Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see.
No. But perhaps... It's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away.
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a problem?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti.
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence, and
God.
would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotte?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out.
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotte?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him.
We shall see you soon, young man.
Mr. Holmes, what is the trouble with that? What's up with you, lad? What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for my brother to be released.
Your brother?
The one that you caught, beat up and imprisoned.
Ah, the murderer.
He ain't killed no one, copper.
Watch your mouth, lad, else you'll be joining.
This is where I keep my post. Hello, Toby.
I'm always wondering what's on your mind.
Why are you looking at me all the...
I'm just watching you, lad.
People like me?
Yes, street beg.
I ain't a thief. What ain't seen can't hardly be...
Wiggins, my lad, what are you doing?
I've done nothing wrong. You'd learn more by watching Mr. Holmes.
Oi, what's your...
Mr. Holmes, did you see my...
Look here, lad. You'd better go home and start thinking about...
Ha! But he'll be free tonight.
Don't be daft, lad. It's a closed case.
A fairly long pole with a forked end.
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
A fairly long pole with a forked end. I am unable to see any higher. I need to find something to lift my lamp. This should be useful.